Hello, everyone. So, I really want to put this on because I've just watched the most awesome thing on Dallas and I really wanted to share it. And I've just actually told Sandra Cole, World Illuminator 11, my amazing friend, about this, but I just have to share it with you because it's so powerful. The power of gratitude and the power of kindness and the power of love, and how it can turn even the coldest heart, the coldest heart, to warm goo. And in this particular episode of Dallas, you've got JR Ewing, who's this really you probably know who he is if you've ever watched Dallas, but he's like this multimillionaire and, he plays mind games and he's a really cold guy and, he gets the better of everybody and he's just really manipulating. And what he ends up doing is he tricks his wife into signing some documents so he can be committed to a mental institution. So he can go in there where someone is who he knows and he can get papers signed to do a takeover of some deal. So he goes in there, to manipulate and control and, do something quite evil. And there's a big mix up with the paperwork and nobody knows where he is. So he's stuck in this mental institution. And obviously, he starts getting to know people in there and he becomes really good friends with 5 guys in there. And they kind of all band together to kind of out a guy who committed a murder and said that he was insane, so he didn't go to prison. And he got put into this mental hospital. So he was a real bully. He was bullying all of them, and the other ones were all kind of harmless and, really genuine, nice guys, not going to fly or anything like that, just doing their own thing in there. And this murderer's really bullying them and, causing lots of trouble for them. So JR kind of makes this decision to stand up against him. And he talks all of these guys into helping. So they get a plan together to kind of out him as this murderer. And they all work together as a team. And it's really powerful how they all work together. And he ends up going to prison. And then JR obviously wants to be released from this mental institution. But nobody knows where he is. And they start putting him on medication and it starts making him really ill, basically. Like he doesn't know what he's doing, he doesn't know where he is. And, he's in fear for his life, thinking, if this goes on any longer, I'm not going to be able to know who I am. I'm not going to be able to have, all my faculties working properly. And he talks one of the 5 guys who has access to a telephone to help him to contact his secretary so that she can come in and bring his release papers. And this guy's a bit of a coward and he says he's not going to do it, and they all kind of say they're not going to help. And then he stands up and he says, no, I'm going to do it because JR, you've made me strong and you've showed me who I can be. So this guy ends up contacting JR's secretary and he brings the release papers in. So JR gets released, but as he goes into the office to speak to the head guy in charge and he's saying, his goodbyes, he says to this warden guy, he says, I've got friends in here, so if you don't treat them right, I'll know and I'm going to come after you with everything. So he gives him a warning because he cares about these guys. And while he's talking to this warden guy, this doctor guy, a big box arrives and he says, this is for you. This has come by courier for you. So JR goes in to say goodbye to all of these guys with this big box of stuff. And it's gifts for all of his friends in there. And I'm not kidding you. I was crying like a baby watching this episode because it was so beautiful, because the genuine love from JR to these men who he'd banded together with in there and found solidarity, and they'd all helped each other out. And, really touched each other's lives as well, because JR had made them all stronger. And, they were saying, we're really going to miss you. You're our buddy. And it was so powerful. And JR got these beautiful gifts that were tailor-made for each one. And it's like the universe gifting something to you. So the first guy, he played chess with himself. Imagine you got an invisible friend. He's in a mental institution after all, and he was playing chess with himself pretty much. So JR got him this electronic chess set that calculates everything, and like a computerized one, which I suppose back in the 80s was a big thing, quite an expensive gift as well. So he gave that to him first, and then another guy knitted shawls and jumpers. So he gave him the best cashmere wool and these beautiful knitting needles. And then another guy, an older guy, played the xylophone, and JR gave him a gold-plated xylophone with his name engraved in it. And then while they were all in there, they were playing cards. And JR was a really good card player, and one of the guys wasn't. So he gave him a book about how to play cards and how to become the best player you can be. And the last guy, the one who helped him out and got him released pretty much, said to him, what's in that box for me then? And he said, there's nothing in this box for you. But what I am going to give you is a promise that when you get out of here, and you will, I'm going to take care of you. You're not going to want for anything in your life. I'm going to put you up in a good house with a great job and a car, and everything you'll ever want for the rest of your life will be there. And honestly, the kindness and the love and the genuine, feeling from these 6 men with JR, and they were all hugging each other, and it just made me bawl like a baby. I had to stop it and just let all that emotion out, because the beautiful love showing that when we gain kindness and we spend time with people, we touch each other's lives without even realizing sometimes how we touch the lives. And the feeling, and the fact that he went in there to get papers signed, which didn't work anyway, because his friends ended up cutting up the document and putting welcome back JR, because they kind of sent him down into the dungeons. So he didn't get what he went in there for anyway. The fact that, no matter what the reason he went in, he ended up spending time with people he wouldn't be able to spend time with in any other circumstances, and touched each of the lives, and each of them touched his life too. And it's so beautiful, and I just really wanted to share that with you guys, because the power of love and kindness and gratitude melts even the coldest heart, a heart of stone. It removes barriers and walls, and it creates miracles. And that's the message coming through. So I feel that today is a big sign of Archangel Nathaniel removing obstacles, and when we focus on love, not fear, magic takes place in our life. So I really wanted to share that with you. I hope that helps. I hope you enjoyed that little story too. Have a great night. And if you are interested in watching that episode, it's in the last season of Dallas, the original. It's in season 14. I think it's episode 3 or something like that. So thank you for watching. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon.